I made a mistake. The Razer BlackShark V2 Pro 2023 edition should have been on my top 5 gaming headsets list, especially considering its S-tier microphone. At least, that's what many of the comments said. So let's see if they were right. Even though I already have the Razer BlackShark V2 and V2 X, I bought the V2 Pro and tested it at home and work because this thing has Bluetooth now. So let's start there. The BlackShark V2 Pro is the wireless version of the BlackShark V2. It connects using a 2.4 GHz dongle, which is compatible on PlayStation and PC, but not Xbox. And the range on it is really good. My kitchen's at least like 50 feet away, and I didn't have any dropouts from there to my computer. The 2023 edition in particular has Bluetooth, up to 70 hours of stated battery life, and an improved microphone that might just be the new best gaming headset microphone on the market. In fact, let's switch over to the audio of this right now while I talk about the controls. On the outside of the left ear cup is an infinite scroll volume knob. So this actually adjusts the system volume. On the bottom is the power button, which doubles as Bluetooth controls. 1 press to answer calls or pause and play media, 2 to skip to the next track, 3 to go back, and there's a mic mute button near the rear. On the right ear cup, there's a smart switch button. Tapping once changes the EQ preset. More on those in the software section. Double tapping switches from Bluetooth to hyperspeed wireless with the dongle and vice versa. Now this does not have simultaneous dual wireless like the Turtle Beach Stealth Pro. Now holding the smart switch button in changes which set of presets you get access to, so they turn into game specific presets like Call of Duty and Apex Legends. I really appreciate the satisfying clickiness of all the buttons that are on this device, which is a big contrast from the Turtle Beach Stealth Pro where they're all kind of mushy and they're all flush with the device itself. So I'm still speaking into the microphone of this headset. What do you think about it? For me, the hype was real, and this is the new best gaming headset mic that I've used. But there are some other standout headsets that I'll talk about in a little bit. The clarity is great, and it doesn't have that really irritating sibilance at the top end that a lot of other gaming headsets have. It doesn't have a super noisy preamp either, where like the Corsair HS80, for example, it just kind of has that like extra static noise where it's trying to boost the volume of the microphone. Now I'm speaking into this mic using my phone, Bluetooth. The plosive rejection of it, it's all right. It's the pop filter, the wind guard definitely helps a lot, but overall you are going to hear some of those P and B sounds. You're not going to hear a lot of breath sounds like if you're just breathing, but yeah, the plosives, the rejection's not amazing. And you can really change the position of this really well, like this. And it has a lot better flexibility, and you can put it in the exact spot that you want a lot better than the Razer BlackShark V2, the original. The mic is even better than this, the HyperX Cloud 3, which when it came out, when I first reviewed it, I said this was the best gaming headset microphone that I'd used, better than everything else prior. And this is actually the wired version, which sounds a little bit better than the wireless version in my experience. But the BlackShark V2 Pro beats this one out pretty easily because the tonality is a lot better. That's something I didn't really like about this mic, is the tonality was quite thin, and you can't really boost the bass without it sounding unnatural. Now I sold my Corsair HS80 wireless, so I can't do a live test of it, but I do have some footage I'll go ahead and show you in a moment. But the volume is super low out the box. Now I didn't actually boost the volume in post, but I did use the IQ software to put that 10 decibel boost so that you can hear it. Now, when you do that, you also hear that static feedback, and that is incredibly loud. Now I'm back speaking on the BlackShark V2 Pro 2023 edition. So as of this review, the top 3 microphones that I've used so far, the BlackShark V2 Pro 2023, then the HyperX Cloud 3, and then number 3, the Corsair HS80. And this mic gets better actually. With Razer Synapse, you can add a bunch of filters. They're called enhancements, and mic equalizer as well, but not for console, unfortunately, only PC. Now they have a few different presets they have: mic boost, broadcast, conference, and then this is my own custom that I use to make sure that I think that my voice doesn't sound too deep, but it's also not too sibilant. It's just very clear, and then we have just a little bit of that mid-range and upper mids boost so that I kind of poke through a mix a little bit and push through it if there's like gaming or a lot of stuff happening in the game while I'm speaking. I've got the mic noise cancellation. I'll bring this all the way down to 10, just so I'll give an example. Doing a little bit of keyboard typing, it will minimize that, but it won't make it sound unnatural, and it won't start changing the volume too much. If you change some of these, like vocal clarity or even the mic noise cancellation, and you put them too high, I'll put this actually to its maximum, then it'll start to warp your voice or cut it out completely, stuff like that. So just bring it all the way down, not even to like 53. I keep this down all the way down to 10, and I think that sounds pretty natural. And just because of my environment, I don't really need the volume normalization, which is like a compressor. I keep that off. vocal clarity. I feel like you can just do that in the equalizer yourself. I'm really not a big fan of voice gates, but this is the EQ that I use just for myself. And there's also good side tone. This is actually probably the only microphone that I actually would use side tone on, like for a gaming headset, because it has good passive noise rejection, and I'll talk about that a little bit in the build quality section. All right, now back on my main mic, the Shure MV7. Probably the only actual weakness with this microphone is that it is detachable, but it's not retractable, which for a gaming headset, who cares? But since this thing has Bluetooth, it'll make it seem like, oh yeah, you can just bring this out on the go as a normal pair of headphones. But since it doesn't have any integrated mics, it kind of takes away the viability of that, because if you're gonna be like just out on the go, then you're gonna have to have this microphone in at all times, because if you happen to get a call, otherwise you just can't speak to anybody. This part is where this device starts to go downhill, the headphone audio quality, and why I still cannot consider it a top 5 gaming headset. Not even close. For its $200 price tag at launch, the headphone audio quality of this device frankly sucks. It's still got the same Triforce drivers as the BlackShark V2. The treble is elevated and harsh, but not actually particularly detailed. When you're running on rocks, these really emphasize the irritating scratchy sound over the thumping and grinding of the gravel. The mid-range is dropped down considerably, so dialogue doesn't stand out in a chaotic or busy mix, and since the sound separation is poor, neither do footsteps. The bass is still weak and unsatisfying in comparison to headsets like the HyperX Cloud 2, Jopposipos PC38X, and Odyssey Maxwell. But it's not like a clean and detailed bass that's just really quiet. There's not a lot of power in the bass, but what is there is actually pretty muffled, which is normally a word used to describe headsets with too much bass, but really there's not too much bass here. It's just that what is there isn't very clear. The drivers of this device still distort pretty fast in this sub bass, so I know it's cute that they have all these different presets, but if you go over to movie, this is kind of crazy. +4 in the sub bass. If you actually try this and you listen to something that has really strong booming bass, it's gonna sound terrible coming through this if you're gonna use this EQ, because these things just have that blaring distortion so fast in the sub bass. I think this is about as good as you can do going up +2, because anything above that, you're just gonna lose all sound quality with this device. In addition, there is this constant static feedback sound in this headset, probably from a noisy preamp. A lot of wireless headsets have this. The HyperX Cloud 2 wireless had this. The Cloud 3 wireless has it a little bit. The Odyssey Maxwell, actually, they got rid of that a lot. It's like, I can't even hear it at all. But yeah, that gets really annoying when there is no audio playing. So if you're already a fan of Razer's Triforce drivers, then you're gonna love these because they're the same that they've been using for years. Otherwise, I'd completely pass on these for the headphone audio quality. One headset in particular I recommend is the Logitech G Pro X2. This has actually become my main headset for a few different reasons: convenience, comfort. The graphene drivers of this thing are great. The highs have great detail, but they're not piercing. The mid-range is very natural and it's a lot more full than the Razer BlackShark V2 Pro. And this headset has great sound separation. And the bass, especially the sub bass, actually has some boom behind it, but it's not distortion, it's not muddy and muffled. So in Starfield, for example, when you're on that ship getting into combat, or when you're just taking off, you really feel that engine, but it's not obnoxious, because I know a lot of people don't like a ton of bass, especially for FPS games, but it really does have that body to it. Especially with EQ, this thing is super receptive to EQ, way more than the BlackShark V2 Pro 2023. Now for the comfort and build of this device. I feel like this is really polarizing. You're either gonna love the way that this headset feels, you're gonna love the build of it, or you're absolutely gonna hate it, kind of like me. But the thing is, there's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to the comfort. Some people really love these materials, some people can't stand them, but there's a lot of objectivity too when it comes to the weight and the materials. So this headset comes in at 320 grams. So that's 58 more than the Razer BlackShark V2, the wired version, that's 262. And you really feel it immediately just picking this up. You can feel it, and then putting it on, you feel, wow, this is just a lot lighter. And this does not have swivel either. For me, the weight plus the clamping force starts to become a big problem. It doesn't clamp quite like a vice grip, but the flow knit ear cushions feel like some sort of rough synthetic cloth. They just don't have soft enough or enough padding period to offset that clamp and that weight. And the material is really scratchy. I have to take this off every like 20 minutes or so, because it's just really irritating. I can't stand these over long periods, but Technique says they're stinking cozy, so that is going to be more subjective. So what I always recommend to find if a headset's going to be comfortable for you or not, see if you can find it in like a Best Buy or some other store, and then try it on first just to see. Now, as far as the actual build quality, it's all right. It's plastic, not very thick. The headband's got the same padding as the ear cushions here, that same type of flow knit, whatever it is, cloth-like material. And like I said, this has really good passive noise isolation. Not really sure how they were able to do that because this is that type of cloth. It's not pleather. Now they say this is a steel reinforced headband with a slider. So, well, this is the slider, this kind of like adjustment fork thing that they've got going on here. It's still a really thin piece of metal, which seemed like it could be a volatility point, but I've had the BlackShark V2X and the BlackShark V2, and neither of those have broken. They're both completely intact pretty much, except this little pop filter thing. So I'm pretty confident about the build quality and durability of this device. I'm not sure if there's actually any metal up here. I haven't like opened this up or anything, but if I've learned anything over my time of reviewing gaming headsets when it comes to the build, is that looks can be very deceiving. Something that seems like it might snap or break might actually last you for years with no issues, but something that feels really solid and sturdy like the Alize Maxwell might just snap after a month. So all I can tell you for sure is that I've had this, the Razer BlackShark V2, that actually feels even flimsier than the V2 Pro, but I've had this for over 2 years, no issues, still intact. All right, we're almost done. Let's talk about the software real quick. And just as a heads up, I haven't really drained this battery completely and like tracked all of the hours. I'm one of those people that once it gets to 50%, I just kind of charge it back up. But I highly doubt this thing can actually last for 70 hours. I mean, maybe I'd give it like a 50, but based on how fast this battery drains and how often I use it, like maybe like 4 hours per day, and I end up losing like maybe 10% every day. I guess that's more closer to like 40 hours, maybe 50 hours if we're stretching, but 70 hours, I don't know how that is physically possible. Now, anyway, you get several EQ presets out the box, game, movie, music, and then you also get some esports presets that you can select between. And here's the Call of Duty one. I really do not like this one, but this is me in particular. I made a video specifically talking about why for footsteps, I do not like to boost the bass, because even though that is the fundamental frequency of footsteps, it actually will boost other sounds like explosions and rumbles and stuff like that actually muddy it up. Combined with the sound separation that I don't think is very good at all with this device, I just don't think this is the way. I think something more, actually more like that, like Valorant, was something that I would use if I was playing Call of Duty, to be honest. Now, you can customize the presets that you have here, like you can change movie, but you'll notice it'll say this thing at the top requires Razer Synapse, because when you make these adjustments, then you need Razer Synapse to actually use the altered EQ. And then I'll just go ahead and reset it. Out the box in the headset itself, when you cycle between the different EQs, it's cycling between the stock ones that they have, and then you only get one custom. And that one is actually really cool because it will stick if you're using Bluetooth. So if you just wanted a very specific type of frequency for music or something like that, then you can use that. For your Bluetooth audio, switch over to whatever game you're playing and then use that same preset, or switch over to like game or movie or whatever else you wanted. For some reason, this device is not compatible with the Razer Audio app. Don't know why. You're gonna need the Barracuda for that, or Barracuda X, Barracuda Pro. So if you're gonna make any custom EQ, you're gonna need to do that on your computer and then set it in advance before you go out. Now let's talk about THX Spatial Audio. It's actually pretty fun, but the thing I like about it the most is not the sound itself. It's that when you go over to these esports presets, like let's say you're on Call of Duty, if you had this and you press THX Spatial Audio, it actually will disable those. It will take you off of that and it'll put you to a different preset. So I really like how they subtly admit that, yeah, having some sort of virtual surround sound that's going to make things sound like artificial a little bit closer, or make the ambient noises stand out in a way that it's not really intended to in the mix. It's fun, but it's completely counterproductive for competitive play. Now, THX Spatial Sound makes it really hard for me to actually pinpoint exactly what is going on with the EQ. I can't really tell, but what I can say is specifically in game, the sounds like wind rushing and anything that's kind of got like a kind of humming sound to it, like in Starfield, if you're in that main room, the lodge with the artifacts, that kind of humming, like room, that type of sound, you really hear that stand out, and the wind is just rushing all around you. And I said this way back in my original BlackShark V2 review, if you're like by a waterfall or something like that, you really hear the rushing of the waves, and it's really fun. It's just not like something that's gonna help you with positional audio. It's just kind of fun to have. If anything, I think it's really unfortunate that all of these EQ presets and THX Spatial Audio is wasted on a headset with these drivers. So for my verdict, should you buy the Razer BlackShark V2 Pro 2023 edition? Well, if you're already a Razer fan, sure. The mic is top-notch for a gaming headset, and it's really an improved version of what Razer has already been doing with the BlackShark lineup. It's got improved battery life. Still don't think that 70 hours is really a thing. The same Triforce drivers, cloth padding, doesn't trap in heat too much. And this thing also has Bluetooth and built-in EQ presets, and you can even make your own custom preset, save it to the device. But if you're not already set on Razer, I'd pass on these easily. Astro, Epos, Odyssey, HyperX. What other company am I missing? Pretty much all these other companies have headsets. Logitech that are just straight up better than this device. Sans the microphone. The microphone of this thing, I gotta say, they've got the competition beat for now with this microphone. But as far as headphone audio quality, build quality, comfort, Logitech G Pro X2, super solid build, really comfortable, amazing sound. HyperX Cloud 3, even the wireless, incredibly soft. This is actually the most comfortable headset that I've used. Really good build on this thing as well. Good microphone, not quite as good, but I love the Cloud 3. I just wish this thing had some more bass, but even the bass of this, when EQ'd, sounds better than the BlackShark V2 Pro. I just think that there are way too many better options than this device, especially considering the price. So this is a good choice for Razer fans specifically, but my top 5 gaming headsets list still stands.